The Power Rangers are based on Super Sentai, and Super Sentai faces a lot of kaiju. Well, wouldn't it make sense if eventually the Power Rangers fought against Godzilla, the greatest kaiju of them all? Well, I think so, and so does IDW, as they made a comic book called Godzilla vs. the Power Rangers, which is fun. I'll say it's fun. Anyway, we're Comicstorian. I take comic books. I read them back to you dramatically, almost like an audio book, but for your favorite comic books. The purpose of this is to allow you to know what comic books exist, so that you can go pick up continuations or these books and create your own collection. I do recommend going to your local comic book store or digital retailers. So today's going to be Godzilla versus the Power Rangers, and we're going to do the full story for it because it's only 5 issues. But I do want to let you know, these Power Rangers do not act like their comic book counterparts. They act like classic 90s Power Rangers. So as long as you're aware of that, go for it. Also be aware, Tommy's the Green Ranger in this one, just because I think the writer, Cullen Bunn, thought it'd be fun to make him the Green Ranger again. That's not happening in the regular comic books either. So this is just out of continuity for everything, but it's a blast. So I hope you guys enjoy. Tommy moved through the shadows of the temple, following behind Rita and her goons. He tapped his radio, calling to Zordon. I followed Rita. They're raiding some sort of ancient tomb. He warns Zordon, telling him that they should send the rest of the Rangers quickly, but Zordon orders him to be careful. That whatever power the tomb holds allows it to mask itself from even his sensors. Inside, Rita smiles, stepping up to a floating crystal. Throughout the galaxies, whispers of this artifact's power can be heard. With this, the multiversal focus, the Power Rangers will vex us no more. She begins to state, but Tommy is there, leaping amongst the putties, kicking Goldar. He whirls to fight Scorpina, but Rita ignores them and reaches for the crystal. She places the gem in her staff, controlling its power. The room begins to whirl around them, throwing everyone to their feet as the light spills out of the gem. Tommy tries to reach for the staff, but everything goes dark. Rita and her armies land hard on the destroyed ground, the ruins of the battle all around them. Rita, my queen, perhaps we should have cautioned ourselves in regards to such a rough landing, Finster grumbles, but Rita has no time for his complaints. They look around, finding a sign that tells them they have returned to Angel Grove. Yet, not our Earth! This world is completely defenseless against us! They all look up, their eyes widening, as they see Godzilla and the Megalodon fighting in the distance, both kaiju, roaring in battle. Such beautiful engines of destruction, such devastation and chaos! With Goldar and Scorpina looking for the Green Ranger, Rita turns her sights skyward, seeing a flying saucer hovering over the fighting monsters. Ah, I see we're not the only ones interested in annihilation. Look there! She shouts, pointing her staff, energy spilling around them as Rita teleports her group upwards, appearing on the ship. The aliens scramble to fight the new threat, with Goldar rushing forward and attacking. So those aliens are quickly defeated, with Rita standing over them. What do you want? One of them asks, and she smiles at him. That's a good boy. So much more polite when you've been shown a bit of discipline. Now, take me to your leader. Back on the home universe the Power Rangers are at, Zordon has gathered the rest of the Rangers together to tell them quickly of Tommy's mission, and that he disappeared. But just before we lost contact with him, I detected a pulse of dimensional energy. If I can trace Tommy's energy signature, I should be able to send the Power Rangers after him, he tells them. Meanwhile, back on board the alien ship in the other universe, Rita looks down on Godzilla and Megalon. The large lizard hits the monster with a devastating breath attack, knocking it to the ground. It seems the monsters have settled their dispute. To the victor go the spoils. The lizard will make a fine addition to my arsenal. Rita laughs, but a voice calls out to them. I'm afraid you have overestimated your own abilities. The Supreme Controller of Planet X says as he walks over, explaining to them that the Zillions of Planet X have been trying to lay claim to Earth for some time, wishing to use its abundance of natural resources, but the creature known as Godzilla has stopped them along the way. Rita smiles wickedly. And you're using monsters? It's your lucky day. I couldn't care less about natural resources, but mayhem of monstrous variety is my specialty. I think we should strike a mutually appealing bargain, she tells the Supreme Controller. From the rubble outside, Tommy finally regains consciousness, pulling himself free, and he looks up in shock at the destruction around him. He whirls as Godzilla stomps along in the distance. Another of Rita's monsters is ripping the city apart. He shouts in surprise, reaching for the dragon dagger. He uses it to summon the Dragon Zord, the robot appearing before Godzilla, who stops short, glaring at it. So the Green Ranger managed to make it to this world after all, Goldar shouts from the spaceship as they see the Dragon Zord appear. Rita tries to take control of Godzilla's mind, but the King of Monsters resists her. But it doesn't matter, for the two titans have already gotten locked into combat. The Dragon Zord slashing at Godzilla with its claws before burying its drill tail into its side. Godzilla roars, slamming it in the chest, knocking it back. Looks like we've got a no-nonsense monster on our hands, Tommy shouts, but the Dragon Zord fires its finger missiles next. When the smoke clears, Godzilla just looks angry. He slams his tail right into the Dragon Zord, knocking it back again, his mouth beginning to glow. Tommy looks in shock as the energy breath slams into his Dragon Zord. No way! The Dragon Zord's never been hit that hard before! Tommy shouts, but he can do nothing as Godzilla lifts Dragon Zord into the air, preparing to slam it into the ground, and a voice calls out to him. He turns to see the other Rangers have teleported nearby. It took Zordon a bit to track you down, but we're here now. Just in time from the looks of it. I'd say it's time to bring in the Dino Zord power, Jason shouts to his friend. The Rangers launch into their attack with the Dinozords, but they quickly realize that Godzilla is far too powerful. So they morph into the Megazord, cracking Godzilla across the jaw. The two titans trade blows back and forth as Tommy is watching. The Dragozord's down, but he's not out. Maybe I could provide some support, he says, but he turns as Goldar suddenly rushes at him. Not so fast! Rita still has plans for you, Green Ranger. Swinging his sword, slashing him across the back. Meanwhile, the Megazord takes another blow from Godzilla's tail, knocking it into a building. And at that moment, Goldar grabs Tommy by the throat, lifting him into the air, telling the Ranger that he would have just left him in the rubble of Angel Grove to be crushed by Godzilla. But what the Empress wants, the Empress gets! Goldar snarls. The Megazord is knocked aside again, and they have no choice but to call down the Power Sword. Armed with their most powerful weapon, the Rangers rush at Godzilla, who readies his breath attack, launching this attack just as they stab into his chest. Both stumble away from each other, and aboard the ship, Rita cackles with glee. Look at that! Isn't it a beautiful sight? They've destroyed each other, she says, turning back to the Supreme Controller, but the alien shakes his head. In our experience, Godzilla is not so easily dispatched, he tells her, and Rita nods, but turns to see Godzilla falling to the ground. Let me offer you a piece of advice. Hit your enemies when they're down, Rita says. They turn as Goldar appears on the ship, a depowered Tommy within his grasp. Excellent! Bring him forward! Just in time to see the ultimate demise of the Power Rangers. Tommy looks up in shock and confusion as the Zillions launch more saucers, attacking both the Rangers and Godzilla. Rita stalks forward, reaching out for Tommy's face. Don't worry, soon you'll be back under my control, and you won't even miss your friends. Blue blood begins to pour out of Godzilla, but as he struggles to his feet, he lashes out at the flying saucers as they attack. Roaring in anger, he leaps into the ocean. The saucers then continue their onslaught on the Megazord, but the Rangers have no choice but to deactivate and allow the Zords time to self-heal. The Rangers quickly escape, transforming back into their regular clothes to slip away, and they begin to help people from the rubble, who quickly explains that they are heading to an old amusement park to take shelter. The aliens have driven Godzilla away! They'll attack in force now, someone shouts. You mean the giant lizard? It was some sort of protector? Zack asks, but the man shakes his head. I don't think you could say that. Godzilla is a terrifying force. For some reason, though, it seems to be the only thing standing between those invaders and the total conquest of Earth, the man says, and Kimberly looks at Billy, pointing out that they may have made a mistake about this Godzilla. The team knows that they need to find Tommy, with Jason thinking that he might be on the mothership above them. So they all turn, seeing one of the saucers that Godzilla had knocked down from the sky crash nearby, and they all slip inside. Do you think you can fly this thing? Zack asks Billy, and the genius smiles. Hey, how hard could it be? He asks. Inside, they find one of the Zillions, and while Billy gets to work on getting the ship to fly, the rest of the Rangers interrogate the alien and learn everything about what is going on. Once they reach the ship, the Rangers transform, now learning that they've managed to defeat the only creature that was protecting the Earth from the Zillions. They fight their way to the command deck of the ship, morphing into the Power Rangers and launching into battle. What do I have to do to get rid of you, Ranger brats? This dimension is supposed to be Ranger-free! Rita shouts angrily as the Rangers attack. Goldar tosses Tommy to Finster as he rushes forward to join Scorpina in attacking the Rangers. Oh my, I don't think guard duty is on my job description, Finster shouts in dismay, but Rita turns using her magic on Tommy. And as the Rangers fight against Rita and their forces, the Supreme Controller turns away from the conflict. Our new allies will deal with this rebel. We will move our plan to the penultimate stage. Activate the teleporters. Unleash Gigan! He declares, and Jason turns from his fight looking out the window to see the kaiju known as Gigan launched against the Earth, landing just outside of the amusement park that the survivors are taking shelter in. Oh my god, we have to stop it! Kimberly shouts, and they all look to their friends, but Tommy shouts for them to go, to save the people below. Jason doesn't like it, but the Rangers leap out the window, barreling towards the planet below. Dinosaur power! They all shout out. As the Rangers quickly leap into an assault against the Gigan, the kaiju is simply too powerful for them, and they must transform back into Megazord. The Megazord slams into the monster, but it punches them back, forcing them to the ground where it hits them with an energy beam. Rita watches from above with a smile, and she turns to Finster. What have you got that will make this battle a little bit more unfair? She asks with a sneer. The Rangers look up at the Megazord, shocked to see Eye Guy and Rhino Blaster slam into the ground nearby, ready to attack the Rangers. You shouldn't have followed me, Rangers! And now that you're here, I'll make sure you never leave! The Megazord whirls around, punching the Rhino Blaster, slamming it into the ground, and inside, the Rangers try to contact Zordon, but they realize they cannot reach him. We're on our own in this fight, Jason shouts, but the Megazord whirls around, kicking Eye Guy and Gigan away. Let's show them what we're made of, Jason shouts to his team, but the three monsters gang up on the Rangers, raining blows upon them. I've got my eye on you, Rangers, the Eye Guy says as he hits them with laser blasts. Hope you brats don't mind a little rushing, Rhino Blaster says as he slams into them. Gigan slashes at them, saying nothing. Eye Guy and Rhino Blaster then turn to each other, shrugging. Guess he's not one for banter. Above them, Rita is trying to use her magic once again to take control of Tommy, to make him the Green Ranger again, but he yells as he fights against her spells. I won't let you control me again, he shouts, and she finally lets him fall to the floor. You have more willpower than I was expecting. But it doesn't matter. In due time, I will break you just as I did before. She snaps at him and she turns back to her minions, ordering them to imprison Tommy within the ship's brig. As he's dragged away, Rita tells Tommy that she will search through the multiverse for a spell that will allow her to control all monsters, that she will return to their world and rule the planet. My friends will stop you, Tommy shouts at her. But below them, the Megazord is getting hammered by the three monsters, with sparks flying from the controls of the cockpit of the Zord. Everyone hold on, we have to fight these beasts back, Jason shouts as he fires the Megazord's cranial laser. The monsters all stumble back, but the blast didn't buy the Rangers much time. But a blast suddenly hits Gigan from behind them, saving them from potential doom. It's Godzilla! Billy shouts as the Rangers turn. Is that good or bad? Kimmy asks the group. Godzilla rises out of the ocean, stomping back onto the land, lashing out at everything within sight, fighting against all three of the monsters, his tail lashing out, striking against the Megazord, knocking it aside. We're just another enemy as far as Godzilla's concerned. The big lizard is hurt and angry. It's gonna trash everything that gets in its way, Billy tells them. Godzilla roars, firing his atomic breath in the center of the group, knocking them all down. Too bad there's no way we could talk. If Godzilla could understand us, we might be able to explain that we're on the same side, Zack shouts to his friends, but Godzilla is wounded, tired. His attacks are already slowing. Billy looks to the group, telling them that they might be able to use their energy to feed Godzilla, healing him and powering him up. It's a big risk, but it might be our best shot, Jason says. So the team calls down the Power Sword, using it to blast Godzilla with pure energy. Godzilla roars as his body is powered up. With his wounds healing rapidly, he roars again, turning to the Megazord. I think it worked. Scanners indicate that Godzilla's back to full strength, Billy tells the team. Again, I ask, is that good or bad? Kimmy asks. Godzilla roars, lashing out with his tail, knocking Rhino Blaster towards the Megazord. I think Godzilla got the message. Let's make it very clear, Trini says as the Megazord jumps down, stabbing Rhino Blaster through the chest, defeating the monster and sending it away. The Megazord then whirls around, standing side by side with Godzilla as the two begin to face off against Gigan and the Eye Guy. Above them, Rita begins to screech with rage at the defeat of her monster. No, it can't be! The Power Rangers and Godzilla working together? Not fair! Why do awful things always have to happen to awful people? She rushes out of the room, taking Scorpina with her and going to the Supreme Controller, giving him her access to more of their monsters. Gigan was the most compliant of the beasts that we can summon. Summoning more might be dangerous, he warns her. But Rita uses her magic to transform Scorpina into a savage monster, sending her down to lead Zillion's monsters. Down below, the Rangers and Godzilla have now defeated Gigan and Aigai. Is that it? Is the fight over? Or did we just give Godzilla enough power to wipe us off the map? Kimmy asks as they look to see Godzilla glaring at them. But the Megazord is suddenly hit by an attack and knocked to the ground. They all look up to see the monstrous Scorpina standing over them, backed by a squad of kaiju. Say hello to my new friends, Power Rangers! Let's see how you and Godzilla fare against a nightmare legion of monsters! Scorpina's army of bug monsters leaps at Godzilla and the Megazord, the bug creature shooting webs at the Megazord, but the Power Sword quickly slashes through them and Godzilla hits the creatures with his atomic breath. Don't let them rally, Scorpina! Finish them off quickly! Rita shouts at her soldier from the mothership. But while Scorpina tries to whip her big monsters into shape, they all turn on her, holding her down with their webbing. What gives? Why are your spiders attacking Scorpina? Rita snaps as she turns to the Supreme Controller. I told you, Rita. The monsters we summon cannot be controlled. He tells her and Rita glares at him. Bah! No wonder the Zillions haven't conquered this pitiful planet. No chain of command. Below them, the Megazord and Godzilla quickly begin to cut through the smaller monsters, with Scorpina managing to free herself and slink away. If I'm going to be destroyed, let it be Godzilla who ends me, not the pathetic Rangers, she whispers. Rita turns back to the Supreme Controller, her staff glowing with deadly magic as she demands his most powerful and terrible monsters. I will not summon another monster, not even the dreaded Monster Zero, without absolute certainty of victory. You are far too rash, Rita, the controller says, and Rita whirls, ordering Goldar to take control of the Zillions. She then looks to Finster, ordering him to use the Zillion's computer to send another monster down. Yes, my Empress, although I think our monsters are far more reliable, he says as he hits several buttons on the computer. Lightning crackles beneath them as the great King Ghidorah appears before Godzilla and the Rangers. Godzilla roars in anger, while the Rangers are shocked. Look at the size of that thing! It's bigger than Godzilla, Trini chimes in. Ghidorah rears its head back and hits the pair with an energy blast that knocks them off of their feet. The Megazord gets back up, using its Mastodon shield to block the energy. We can't take another direct hit! Give it all you've got, Rangers! Jason shouts as the team pushes the Megazord into a run, attacking with the Power Sword. But Ghidorah hits them hard, grabbing them as it flies into the air, dropping them into the ocean. Godzilla fires an atomic breath, rushing forward and locking into combat with Ghidorah. But the multi-headed dragon is too strong, beating Godzilla into the ground. Rita watches with glee, her eyes widening as Ghidorah turns his energy breath onto the mothership. Inside of the ship, Tommy's prison cell sparks and the energy doors shut down. Cool, I just need my power coin and I can get to the others, he says as he manages to free himself. He leaps at the two Zillions that are guarding him, dropping them with a few attacks, but he looks up to see another guard arming a blaster and aiming it at him. Below them, Ghidorah is hammering Godzilla and the Rangers with energy blasts. We've got a hull breach! Billy shouts at the team as the water begins to fill up the Megazord command deck. Brace yourselves, here it comes! Trini shouts as the dragon circles back, hitting them again, bringing a roar of pain and anger out of Godzilla. Godzilla and the Rangers are finished! Quickly, Finster, send Ghidorah back to wherever he came from! Rita orders, but Finster doesn't know how. The mothership is rocked by another blast from the dragon. This is your ship! If you don't want it to be destroyed, you might want to help us, Rita says to the Supreme Controller. Back in the prison cell, Tommy is shocked as the Zillions step forward, explaining that he wants him off his ship and his fellow Rangers out of this dimension. Tommy doesn't believe him at first, but the Zillion holds up a box, revealing Tommy's power coin. You know what this means? It's Morphin time! Tommy shouts. The ship is rocked again. Whose bright idea was it to summon a three-headed nitwit anyway? Rita shouts in frustration, and Goldar steps forward, asking her to send him out to fight the monster. Not a terrible idea. Turning to ask Finster how many monsters they have left to send. A handful, my queen, he says, and she nods, ordering him to send them all. They might have to fight against King Ghidorah as well. Below them, a blast knocks Ghidorah out of the sky, and Goldar rushes forward with Scorpina and a group of monsters. Rita watches with glee. Soon you will fall, monster, and after that, who knows how many countless worlds I will conquer. But Rita's monsters are quickly knocked aside by the pure might of King Ghidorah. Rita turns to Finster, demanding that he send more monsters, but the minion informs her that they are out of monsters. Below them, Goldar and Scorpina are preparing for one last combined attack, but the Megazord is suddenly there, swinging the power sword with massive energy. We've still got some fight left in us, Kimmy shouts. Whose side are we on? Goldar asks Scorpina in shock. Rita, of course! He nods, looking at the Rangers in confusion. Whose side is Rita on? He asks, and above them, Tommy leaps through the window of the mothership, plummeting towards the earth below. He plays the dragon whistle again, teleporting into the Dragon Zord. Time to get the band back together. He shouts, and the Dragon Zord roars as it gets to its feet, prepared for another fight. It rushes forward, slamming into Ghidorah and knocking him away. Good to see you, Tommy, Jason shouts over his comms. Good to be back. Now let's end this fight, he says, and they all look in surprise as Godzilla rears out of the ocean, grabbing a hold of Ghidorah and ripping into him. He then pulls the monster beneath the waves, giving the Rangers enough time to combine with the Dragon Zord, and Scorpina and Goldar look on in fear as the Megazord powers up. The two monsters teleport away, knowing that they will not be able to fight against the Rangers now. Ghidorah roars as it breaks free of the ocean, still locked in combat with Godzilla. But the Rangers fire a powerful blast into the dragon, hitting it hard. Godzilla roars, combining his atomic breath with the Rangers. The combined energy defeats Ghidorah, knocking the dragon to the ground. Finally defeated. Is it just me, or does Godzilla still look mad? Trini asks. The team turns, seeing Godzilla roaring. The monster whirls, firing another atomic breath at the mothership above, knocking it out of the sky and sending it crashing to the earth below. As they slam into the ground, Rita shouts in anger as the multiversal focus is shattered. Can you still get us out of here? Finster asks, but Rita isn't sure. She then smiles, giving it a try with the villains disappearing. But Godzilla isn't done. He whirls on the Rangers, firing another atomic breath at them. They're forced to meet it with their own energy blast. I don't think Godzilla has the same warm and fuzzies that we do, Billy shouts, but their comms suddenly crackle. Rangers, my scans indicate that you have been reunited with Tommy and that Rita has fled from your dimensional vicinity. Realizing that they can leave now, Jason asks Zordon to teleport them home, leaving nothing for Godzilla to fight. In a flash of light, the Rangers disappear. In the crashed mothership, the Supreme Controller gathers his forces, informing them that they will escape this planet and return once more to continue their conquest. But everyone is destroyed in a blinding flash of light as Godzilla hits them with an atomic breath, lightning crackling over his head as he roars in the sky, triumphant. The Rangers have returned to their own dimension, fleeing from the battle against Godzilla, telling Zordon and Alpha 5 about the adventures. Zordon is glad that they are safe and informs them that he can't detect Rita within their dimension any longer, though he has no doubt that she will be returning. For now, it appears that she is lost between dimensions, he tells them. Rita and her goons swirl through space between the multiverse, images of various forms of Godzilla and the Power Rangers passing her by. Everywhere I look, I see those miserable brats and that terrible lizard, she shouts out as our story is concluded. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Now, I do want to clarify something because I know we're going to get comments about it. The pronunciation of King Ghidorah. Now, I've often heard it pronounced differently by various individuals, from people on YouTube to people that I know and stuff like that. Ghidorah is what I have heard it pronounced by. But I've always had problems saying Ghidorah in a hurry or kind of like talking about it in general. I've also heard it pronounced Ghidorah. And if you actually look into the translations and everything that's going on, supposedly the official US translation is Ghidorah. So for the sake of today's video, I decided to go with Ghidorah instead of Ghidorah. I also want to say I thought it would have been funny if I said his name differently each and every single time. Basically saying Ghidorah, and then the next time I said it would be Ghidorah. The problem is, last time I tried doing that with Ra's al Ghul and Ra's al Ghul, people got very confused. But I thought it would be funny. Anyway, I just wanted to go over the pronunciation. I do know about the different pronunciations and the way it's said. This is just the one that I decided to go with for the sake of our video. It flowed better for the sake of it because I wasn't trying to say the Japanese names for all the individuals. And for any of the other monsters from Godzilla that I mispronounced, I'm a big fan of Godzilla, but I have not seen all 30-something movies of the classic Godzilla runs. So, I do apologize if I got those wrong. If you want more Godzilla comics, there are a few of them that are interesting. I've never really looked into them beyond Godzilla Goes to Hell, which I covered here on the channel a long time ago, thinking it would just be fun to do. So if you want more of them, we could definitely look into them. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the Power Rangers, even though they act out of character from their comic book counterparts, we are covering the comic books for the Power Rangers over here on a regular basis. So I'll link that playlist down below, and you can see everything from Shattered Grid to the the new villains and the Omega Rangers and all that stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to check out our YouTube memberships and Patreon for early access to our content. And I'll see you guys next time right here.